Have you ever noticed that on the back of a card, it gives you information about who made it? Well, I used to have these fun little stickers that I put on the back of all of my cards to let people know that I handmade them with love. And today we're going to make some of those as print and cut stickers. And to make it a little more exciting, we're going to add some heat foiling. So let's dive in and get started, shall we? Okay, I already created a little sticker here, and let me just kind of zoom in here. So the heart is going to get heat foiled, and it says cut by silhouette, crafted with love. I thought that was a little more fitting since we're making things with our silhouette. So that's what I did. And then this black outline here is a 1 inch by 1 inch. That's going to be my cut line. So to get these set up, you'll notice I'm using the Silhouette Studio. This is version 5. I've got the starter mode in the on position. So that way it tells me the name under all of these little parts so that I know what's what. The layout's a little bit different than I'm used to. They've moved some things around, so until I get used to everything, I'm gonna stay in the starter mode. Okay, so we have to turn on our registration marks, and you'll see now we actually have a little button for print and cut. So let's just hit that button. I'm going to use the registration marks instead of the barcode. This is just how I'm gonna do it. And then I can go ahead and take that inset all the way down. I don't need a print bleed because everything's just going to be on just my white sticker paper. And you'll notice you've got a print button right here, which is super helpful. It makes this a lot easier. But I need to get this set up ready to print. So what I want to do, I only want it to print my text. This cut line, we just need to, first let's ungroup everything. The cut line, that's the border, I want to take that down to a 0 point value. That way it does not print. And then the same thing with the heart. I'm going to take that down to a 0 point value. Again, it will not print. And then just making sure my text does indeed have a point value. That looks good. Now I can group that together and then we can get things set up on the page. Because I'm also going to be heat foiling, I have to be mindful of where I put the heat foil down on my page because you do not want any heat foil too close. You don't really want it in any of this hashed out area on those. So to make my life easier, I'm going to stay away from the edge. Now you'll notice on my page setup, oh, where did it go? I think it's under grid. It's now under the grid setting, is where you have the show print border and show cut border. I like using those with the print and cut. That way this gray one is my print, the red is my cut. Okay, so I've got that set up. So I'm just gonna make some copies of everything here. So I'm gonna come to the replicate panel. I'm gonna do a couple of copies to the side. Let's see how many we can fit. That looks good. And then I'm gonna select all of these and I'm just gonna make a bunch of rows going down. And maybe just, that looks good. Again, I want to stay out of these hashed areas and I want to make sure I have room on the edge to put my foiling because we're going to have to put a foil piece over this entire part. So now we can come back to this print page here and then I can hit print. Here's my print preview. I just want to make sure that all of my registration marks are within that print border, and they are indeed. I am using the Online Labels sticker paper. I like the matte white for projects like this. They also have shiny. And I will leave a link below if you're interested in any of the supplies I'm using today. Those will all be linked below. So every time I do this, because I don't want to be wasting any of the sticker paper or any ink, I always peel up a corner and make sure which side is the side that is going to be the sticker and which side is the backing. Okay, so if I come in here with my little weeding tool, I'm able to get under that corner a little better and then just peel that away, and I'm just checking this top layer is indeed the sticky part. So I want to make sure I put that in my printer so that way it's going to print on the right side. And you might not be able to see my printer, but it's back here in the corner. I'm just going to get things set up and I will be right back when this sheet is all printed. Actually, I just noticed the hearts are showing up. So we're going to cancel this print preview. And Control and Z. I did not want to move anything. We're going to have to come on here and ungroup. And then I am going to select by color. So you can come up to this and we're going to select by fill color. So that just selected all of the hearts. And for this, I'm going to give it a no fill. Now it's not going to print, but you'll see now I have a no fill and a red fill and a no color and a black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group all of those together. So Control plus G. And that just grouped all of my hearts. We'll come back and revisit that momentarily. Actually, what we can do is give that a yellow outline and make sure that outline has 0 points, just so we know that those hearts are indeed still there. Let's go back to that print preview and look at things again. Okay. Now we got things sorted the right way. You can see all it's going to show to print is the text. That's what we want. So now I'm going to hit print, get this printed out, and I'll be back when it's done printing. So my page is all printed. You can see all I have on there are all of my red text. Nothing else is printed. So that's good. This is ready. And now we need to set up things so that we can go ahead and do some heat foiling. So let's jump back into Silhouette Studio and I'll show you what that is going to look like. So in this new version 5, you've got this button down here that says show more. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And then we're going to come up to specialty tools. And here are all the specialty tools for the Cameo 5, Curio 2, and Portrait 4. Are those the right numbers? I'm going to heat pen. Here we go. Oh, leather punch. Let's grab the heat pen. There, now we got the right thing. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and select my heart group. And I'm going to give those a line fill. And I'm going to take that spacing all the way down. So now they're completely full. And now that's ready. So now what we need to do is go ahead and get our heat pen set up. So if we come over to the send panel, and I'm going to do this standard, but so this is the thing that I find is kind of goofy. I'll be honest. I'm not sure if I like this version 5. And mostly because some of the things you need, you can only grab on certain pages. But you can see I've got my material selected here. Now, I do not have my heat foil pen set up for the sticky paper, and they still have not added that in. Well, actually, let's find out. Let's head over to the machine and we'll get the heat foil pens put in. Okay, so I've got my 2 heat pens here. I'm going to use the thicker one. I think that's going to make this process go a lot faster. I'm just going to go ahead and add that to carriage 2. You're going to push that all the way down and then click that into place, and you'll see nothing else happens. The other thing we're going to do while we're here, I'm going to turn on my electrostatic mat, and I'm going to get this lined up. Now, on the electrostatic mat, the edge of the static electricity is kind of in a little bit from the edge. So I'm going to line up the edge of my cardstock right on the edge there. Even though I peeled up some of these corners, I think it's going to be okay because I'm still going to use some tape to help hold down that foiling, so I don't think things are going to move. Okay, we have to get our pen set up to warm up. So you can see it has detected the auto blade. Let's go over to holder 2. It auto detected the foil. The heat pen is detected. I can go ahead and turn that on. Now it says heat pen is heating. Click to turn off. We're going to do a little experiment, but notice there's no settings, no tool to foil settings for this material. So I would have to create a user-defined material for this, but I already have one set up for my cardstock. So I'm just going to go over to cardstock. If you type it in, it'll bring up all of the ones you have. So I have this 80-pound cardstock heat pen. I'm going to use that one as my material type. And that seems to be helping there, but we are still going to come over to the line segment because now I need to look at the red. Good Lord, now I got to do this all again. Okay. Red we want on tool 2. We're going to foil. There it is. Now it showed up. But again, I have to change that material. And then once this is ready and heated up, it'll let us know. So let's get our foil set up. So I don't know, I don't think you can tell from this angle, but now the light on here, so there's a light on the front, it is now glowing red, letting me know that it's warming up and it's powered on and it's ready to go. Okay, so I'm using the foil quill. This is We Are Memory Keepers heat activated foil in gold. That's what we're going to use here. This is a 12-inch roll. Obviously, I don't need 12 inches. Looks like I need probably about 5 or 6 inches. So the cool thing about using the electrostatic mat is that it's so helpful as you try to do this. So I'm going to go this direction and try to just pull that out. And then try my hardest to cut a semi-straight line, but knowing like I only need to go to about there. So let's see, fingers crossed that I can cut a straight line-ish. I'm not going to be worried about cutting the extra off the bottom. I can cut and save that later when I'm done. Oh, but actually I lied because I need to be able to see that bottom. So we can actually cut it. I'm just gonna try to give myself as much extra as I can because, you know, I have a bad tendency to not be able to cut a straight line. So I want to make sure this like covers most of my project. See, look how unstraight those lines are. But that should be covering most of what I need. So now I'm just gonna lightly brush over this, Try to get out as many of those wrinkles as I can. If you have a brayer or something, you could use that instead of your hand. And then I am going to tape down that foil on top. So I'm just going to tape down some corners. And let's see. I think this one I'm going to come tape the whole side here because we don't want to get in the way of that registration mark. And then up here, I can do a whole piece up there. And then I think I'm going to do, I like being generous with the tape because I want to make sure nothing's moving. But I'm just going to be mindful to make sure that it's not in the corners. The other thing I did is I moved my rollers out of the way so they're not on there. I could take this one and bring it to the edge of my project so it'll run around there. But I don't want it rolling over the foil because then I risk it like putting extra lines, pulling off some of the foil in places where we don't want that to happen. Okay, everything here is set up. Let's go back to Silhouette Studio. We've got some more things that we can set up here. All right, looks like our pen, it says right here, heat pen is ready. Notice it's done flashing. And now our send button's there. So I've got that set up. And then the other thing we want to do is set up our black lines are going to be cut. Again, we're doing this on the line color. But I don't want to do that yet. I just want to do the red because then I want to peel all of that foil off before I do my cutting. So I'm going to unmark this one for now. So all we're going to do right now is the heat foiling. And it's got the right thing selected for that to do. It's detected. Let's go ahead and load our material and then we can send this. So let's get this loaded in. Whoops. Let me tape that down a little bit better in that corner. The more areas that don't peel up, the better. Okay. I find this corner, because there's so much stuff there, is the corner that usually has issues. Load, that looks better. And then I'm just gonna come back over here and all I have to do now, we just got the red selected, is I'm just hitting send. Incompatible material. Oh, did I not pick the right one? Sure didn't. Okay, let's type in cardstock. And I picked the wrong one. Cardstock 80-pound heat pen. There we go. Okay, that is one that I made, and I will link you to a video up here and then also down below that will show you how I set up that user-defined material so that way you're all squared away to do this. Okay, let's try this again. Now we're gonna hit send. And it's sending, yay! Okay. So it's going to read all of our registration marks. We're going to make sure all of those are looking mighty fine. And then once it's done reading all those registration marks, oh golly. Let's see if I can toss in one more piece of tape while it's thinking. Oh, and I goofed that up. Cool. The nice part is some of this takes a minute. So you have a second to fix that a little bit. Okay, so it's going to go through and it is going to foil every single one of those hearts. Now, I will not lie to you. This is going to take a hot minute. So I won't make you sit here and watch the machine do all of its lovely work. I will be back when the foiling is done. While it's foiling, I want to bring your attention to something here. This is kind of a hard to see thing, but down here on your sun panel, it tells you right here what it's cutting and it gives you a time frame. This is how long the actions that you have selected to do are going to take. So as you can see, this says 58 minutes and 30 seconds. Holy cow. That is the beauty of doing so many small things at once with heat foiling. While it is tedious, it is totally worth it in the end when you see how beautiful these turn out. Okay, so I guess I'll be back in an hour when this is all done. Well, I've run into a problem. The heat pen turned off, and I'm only halfway through. So I went ahead and paused the machine. So let me show you what that looks like. So what I did was I hit the pause button here, and how I know that it's not on is my red light that's on here is not on. Now, I will say it has been a while since I've done a project that's taken this long. And again, this is the latest version of Silhouette Studio. I've heard a lot of reports that it's not, while it is released to the general population, that they really have not worked out all of the kinks yet. Very well could be. So what I'm going to do is turn that heat pen back on before I continue heat foiling, because otherwise I'm going to have to go through and just select a few at a time. So what I could do is just come in and select just a few of these hearts at a time and let it foil just a few, and then do a few more, do a few more. And that takes just as long. So what I'm going to do is see if, oh, see, now it's telling me I have to finish this job. Well, that's annoying. So job, pause, resume job. I am, let's see what happens. This is real-time goof ups, okay? So usually what I do at this point is if I just hit this X, it's gonna quit everything. Now you can see I can go back to send. This says is still ready, but the job that it's showing on my work looks like it's not. So I'm not convinced that it's ready. Let's go look at it and I'm going to show you why. And I know it's hard to tell. So what I'm going to do, the cool thing about being on the electrostatic mat, nothing moves even though I unload. It's going to go a little funny, but notice like this one looks really well done. This one looks really well done. This one, not so much. These even worse. So what I think I'm going to do is go tell it, and my red button on here is again off, which, like, hello, power, I don't know that you're really on. How do you test it? I don't have a good way, other than that the work that it's doing looks a lot different. So I'm going to reheat my pen. So we come back over here, and I am once again, click here to turn on the heat pen. It's heating. It's going to take a minute. But what I'm going to do now is I have 2 rows that look good. So this is where things get really fun. We're going to come back to the standard. Actually, we're going to come back to design. I'm going to ungroup. Again, I should test this in an older version and see if I have the same issues using not version 5. I'll have to do that later and maybe update you guys. But now what I'm going to do is all of these, I'm just going to do, so basically it's like so we've got 2-ish rows. So every 2 rows now I'm going to come in and give that a different color. So we'll leave those 2 as red. And I'm just selecting the hearts. And I want to make sure that I'm giving these a color that I don't already have on my screen. I'm just holding down the shift key while I select multiples of these. And I'm picking colors that I don't already have. So when I go back to that do things by line color, it's going to do them as colors separately. So now we can go back to the send panel. It's still showing that it's heating. Now the green looks good. I don't have to worry about that. Those ones looked pretty good. And again, so I can go ahead and just set all of these up and change the material type to my cardstock 80-pound heat pen so that all of these are happy. And then and then I need to mark these for tool number 2 and to foil. So those are set up. Again, the cool thing is, even if you were doing this on your sticky mat, we're using the registration marks. So it's still gonna know based on calculation. We did not move anything on the screen after we printed. All we did was change the coloring. So it knows that. So now when I put this back in, it's going to read those registration marks again, and it's only going to do, now I've selected this 2 middle rows, and I'm going to do those 2. Also, it'll be faster. And then I'll come back and do the next 2 rows and do the next 2 rows. So when I did my test with this, let me show you. Because, you know, typically I test things out beforehand. Originally, I was going to try to do this with a different technique, but it didn't work out. So I used a copper, but look at how that turned out. You'll see some of them turned out well, and then so the way it did it with the Intel technology, it did the edges and then it came back to do the center, and I didn't realize till it was at the end, because, you know, who's gonna sit here for an hour and stare at it? I'm doing other things. So you'll see that not all of these foiled evenly, and part of that, you know, the coverage isn't as great, and I think that's really has to do with the fact that obviously if the pen's not on, it takes heat to activate the foil to press it into the cardstock. So if the heat's not on, the foil ain't pressing, and that's how I ended up with some of these here that did not foil. So this is, I thought, well, I just restarted my computer, restarted everything, because sometimes that's the first thing to do is like I leave my computer in sleep mode. So, you know, sometimes it just needs a good reboot so it can think straight, you know. But now I notice it's doing the same thing. So we're going to do it this way and see if that makes things work better. Okay, looks like now this is on, and the red light on my heat pen is indeed on. I'm going to load this in, and we're just going to send the red. So we'll get this loaded. So it's going to do the second line. It'll do those 2 again. I'm just going to call that one and be done with it. You know, if I lose a couple, I lose a couple. It's not the end of the world. Load that back in. Come back over here. And now with just the red selected, we're foiling, and that's going to do the next 2 lines. And I'm going to hit send. Right now it's doing the registration marks. So again, this is the cool part about doing it as a print and cut, is that with the registration marks, even on your sticky mat, you load and unload, it uses those registration marks to calculate where on the page the actions need to happen, and it does it as a math equation. So even if you didn't load your sticky mat in perfectly, it's going to counteract by using those registration marks. So now when you come down here and look at the time, this is only going to take 15 minutes, which is a little bit more doable. Hopefully the pen will stay on for 15 minutes. I'll have to just keep a closer eye on it this time to see what that really looks like. But I will be back when those 2 rows are done, and then we'll do the next row. Surprisingly, the heat pen stayed on the entire time that it did that section, and the light is still on, so that's great news. So now I'm gonna see if I can just go ahead and do that orange section. It still says that it's ready. I kind of wonder too, because like I feel like I clicked this a couple of times, that maybe it like was ready, it went, and then I like clicked it again on accident and turned it off. I don't really know. We're just gonna go with it. So now we're gonna do the same thing with this orange section. We've got our correct material type. We're gonna foil. It's automatically finding our heat pen. It is on. I did not unload anything, so all I have to do is go ahead and hit send. And again, it's gonna read those registration marks for us, and then it'll get to foiling again. So we'll see if the heat pen decides to stay on this time for the next 2 rows, and then we'll reassess as things go. You can see things are going well. So it still says that my heat pen is ready and the light is still on. That's a good sign. Now I'm going to do the last 2 rows of hearts, which is that teal color. I left everything loaded in the machine this time, so now all I have to do is hit send. And it's gonna go ahead and read those registration marks again so that it knows the right place to do the foiling, and it'll foil those last 2 sets. So I will be back when those are done. All right, all of our heat foiling is done. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out so it can cool down. And then I'm gonna go and unload. And we're gonna carefully peel off all of our heat foiling. So I'm just gonna carefully lift this tape so I can get that heat foiling, and you want to be very careful not to rip the sticker paper. I wanna show you the technique I found that works well. I take my weeding tool and I'm going under that tape right along where it's connected to the foil, and then I'm just pushing it outward to lift it off. And doing it this way, while it is tedious, I can kind of just get under there and just trying to be mindful to stay under the tape but not dig in too far. That at least helps me peel up an edge, and then I can easily peel up the rest of that tape. So this is me being silly because I don't want to reveal how things look before I'm ready. But I thought I would share this little technique. This seems to be working well, just going nice and slow with my weeding tool to release that tape from the sticker paper without ripping. Okay, we got all the tape released. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and reveal our heat foil. Ooh, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, you can tell it did a really good job. We have all the openings. So all of the foil is gone other than that one here, which is where I initially noticed that I was having issues that my heat pen had turned off. So I kind of expected that one to be a no-go. It just, man, especially on this side, I don't know. It just doesn't look that great. I've had better foiling. This whole row on this side, the top couple of rows here just don't look great. So I don't know if I just like have some debris under my mat and it's not looking good. But if I look at like this side of my foil, which would be these right here, they're completely clean. The couple on these bottom ones have some debris left on them, but like they're clean. So I don't know if it just doesn't like the sticker paper or what, but let's go ahead and load this and we'll get those stickers cut out. Okay, we have all of that done. So now what we're gonna do is we've got tool number 1. We're still on the cut by line color, and we're gonna turn off that. We're gonna turn on the black line, which is our cut line. I chose the white sticker paper, which is what the material is. And let's see, force of 14, speed of 8. I've got a blade depth of 2. I believe 1 is what they preload with, so I went ahead and turned that up to a 2. The rest of my settings here look good, and then we can just go ahead and send. And once again, it's going to read those registration marks for us before it starts all of the cutting, because again, it is a print and cut project. We just added a couple extra steps to it with the heat foiling. So there it goes, reading all the registration marks. It'll adjust our blade to that depth of 2. And then it's going to start cutting out our individual stickers. Now I'm doing this as a kiss cut on those stickers. So that way I can just peel them up one at a time off of that sheet. So I'll be back when it's done cutting and we'll see what our final project looks like. All right, it is all done. And like always, I'm going to peel up an edge here before I unload, make sure that it likes that, and my kiss cut is beautiful. So I can go ahead and unload. We'll pull that out, turn off my registration marks. Okay, so now I've got this beautiful sheet of these awesome stickers. So now it's like, well, you know, to you, the foiling probably looks really good, but there are some little spots that I can tell, you know, getting a much up close look at them, that looks different. So what we're going to do with these, I have this card here that I've created. I'll leave a link to this below if you're interested. And then on the back is where I'm going to add my lovely little sticker. So I'm going to use my weeding tool, pick one of these up, and then this just goes on the back of my card, just like that. So now it says, with a heart, cut by Silhouette, crafted with love. So there is our awesome sticker sheet. What do you think about that? I'm having trouble picking this up. I mean, they turned out pretty stinking good. You can see now up close, some of them just didn't foil as well. You can kind of tell that you can see the lines through some of them. I don't know. I'm just not as impressed with the foiling this round as I have been in the past. I used that thicker tool instead of the finer one. I've really had good results with both in the past, so I don't know if it just doesn't like the sticker paper as much. I'm going to have to do some more testing. But how cute is that when it's on the back of your card design? So if you want to go deeper with heat foiling, I've got my heat foiling ebook. You've got the link here where you can pick that up. I'll also put it down in the description. That has 30 pages, and we go through 5 different projects on heat foiling, and we talk about how to do it with the Silhouette heat pens and the new machines, but also how to do it with the foil quill in your Cameo 4, your older Cameos, and then also with the Cameo 5. So we've got all of it covered, and it's different project ideas. We're doing things on different materials that you've probably never considered before. So that's what I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait for you to make some of these yourself. I'll see you in the next one.